Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Recovery Classroom. My name is Drew. I am an alcoholic, and today I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I could not be any more grateful. We had a fantastic crosstalk meeting last night. Every Tuesday and Saturday, we go inside of a treatment facility that's local to our area, and we just have a crosstalk. We just hang out and talk with the clients, and it was incredible. There were so many people in that room last night. People were sitting, they were in the floor last night. People were sitting in the floor last night, so many people. And matter of fact, if you guys are watching from the treatment facility, if you guys are watching this morning, thank you guys for letting us come in and hang out with you on a Tuesday night. You guys kept us sober one more night, and it was phenomenal. There's so many topics that came in, too. There's a lot more topics than we had time, for sure. But usually what happens is I'll bring those topics back here, and we'll discuss them on the monologues. And one caught my eye last night I thought was pretty powerful. Perfect topic to discuss today. Can sobriety be achieved without a higher power? So in other words, can I get clean and sober without a higher power? Now, before I say anything else, I'm going to use the word God. When I say God, it's a lot easier for me to say God than it is higher power. One syllable versus four syllables, right? So when I say God, I'm not talking about the guy in the white robe in the church with the staff and the fuzzy beard. Not what I'm talking about. Just for me, God and higher power are synonymous. So let's answer the question. Can sobriety be achieved without a higher power? For me, the answer is absolutely not. For me personally, because I know I tried everything. There's no way I tried everything to get sober without a higher power. I'd get sober for 2 months and then relapse. I'd get sober for 6 months and relapse. Hell, I was sober for 4.5 years and I relapsed. So for me, no, I proved it beyond any reasonable doubt that I cannot get sober without my higher power. For you, well, who am I to answer that question? I'm not the judge. Hell, I struggled with my own conception of God. I don't need to struggle with your conception. You don't want me struggling with your conception of God, I promise you, right? But who am I to answer that for you? I believe that everyone has a higher power. You can call it God, whatever you want. I firmly believe, we're going to talk about that. But I want to go back to my own personal experience. I can honestly say that I tried everything. Like I said, I would stay sober for 2 months and I'd relapse. And I'd get sober for 6 months and relapse. 4.5 years, I'd relapse. And the common denominator there is I always relapsed because I always tried it without a higher power. For you, I guess you want to ask yourself this, can you do it without a higher power? Maybe, but you got to ask yourself, do you want sobriety or do you want serenity? See, every time I stopped, I found sobriety. I just couldn't keep it. Serenity was me being able to keep my sobriety. And that's the difference, between serenity and sobriety. Can you stop, and then can you stay stopped? For me, I found out I could stop. I could stop long enough to take my kids to a doctor's appointment. I could stop long enough to maybe do part of my job. I could stop maybe, long enough to, go to work and then go to baseball practice. I just couldn't stay stopped, and that was the difference for me. But I think the way the question was written, can sobriety be achieved without a higher power? I think there might be a little bit of fear in that, or a little bit of hesitation, I should say. I think there may be fear of someone not being able to find a higher power. That's fair. I think I could read that into the question. Maybe somebody is afraid they're not going to find a higher power. I encourage you to read chapter 4 in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. That was the chapter that kind of turned things around for me. But I also think there's another fear in this question. I think it could be the fear of finding a higher power. You're probably saying, well, why would somebody be afraid of finding a higher power? Why would somebody be afraid of finding God? Again, I want to pose the question, do you want serenity or do you want sobriety? Two different things. But I think you could be afraid of finding a higher power, afraid of finding God, because deep down inside, you're probably still thinking in your head, I want to be able to drink and drug. I want to be able to drink like normal people. I want to be able to use drugs recreationally. I think deep down in the heart of hearts, you're still hoping. You're still holding out, just for that one last chance to prove to yourself and everybody else that you can drink and drug like the normal, average, moderate, temperate drinker and user. And that's something that they write about on page, I thought that, I know, but on page 30, Bill writes about that, says that idea has to be smashed. We are not like the normal, moderate, temperate drinkers. And then I think there's also fear that you may be afraid there is something out there that's greater than you. That has more control. You may be afraid that something could control you. Some unseen entity is going to dictate every decision you make for the rest of your life. There's something out there that's actually greater or more powerful than you. But my problem with that, maybe you don't want to admit that, and that's okay. That's fair. I understand that. But isn't that why you're watching these monologues in the first place? I mean, don't you already have something that's greater than you, our addiction? Because I know my addiction is greater than me. My addiction was a lot stronger than me. My alcoholism, it dictated every day of my life. It dictated every decision I made. So my alcoholism, well, hell, my alcoholism would control me. My higher power just guides me. See, we all have a higher power. I have friends that they place their higher power in politics. They place their higher power in exercise, in sports, in religion. We all have a higher power to some degree or another. It's just what we choose to call it. But at the end of the day, when it comes to our addiction controls us, whereas our higher power guides us. And I would much rather be guided by my higher power than go back to having my addiction control me. I'll close with this. If you could stop and stay stopped without the help of a higher power, why haven't you already? With that being said, I'll let you guys go. Thank you guys for letting me come in and share 5 to 10 minutes of your day with you. You guys absolutely keep me sober, and I cannot be any more appreciative. If there's a topic you'd like to discuss, feel free to drop it into an email for me, Drew, DREW, at recoveryclassroom.org. I'll take a look at it, see what we can do. We'll be talking again soon, guys. Remember, you can't get drunk if you don't take that first drink.